Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги, дамы и господа. Проведение саммита энергетических компаний и представителей других бизнесов, которые непосредственно связаны с энергетикой в рамках Петербургского форума, уже стало доброй традицией. Сразу отмечу, несколько слов хотел бы сказать о России, о том, что у нас происходит. В этой связи хотел бы отметить, что благодаря ресурсному потенциалу и удобному географическому положению, а сейчас я только говорил...
Right now, I've just mentioned it at a narrow meeting with the colleagues. Russia is playing a special role in developing the energy complex in terms of the Europe, Asia-Pacific, and globally in terms of the energy industry, and makes a tangible contribution into maintaining a constant demand and a high carbon offer to the global market, all through the past period. Production of gas and oil has been growing, and we're paying particular attention to oil recovery as well as an in-depth processing and refining of raw materials. We're active in exploration and developing new fields. Considerable benefits have been given for the production of oil and gas offshore to produce difficult to recover resources, which would ensure the development of the resource base decades ahead. During the past few years, for reference, I may say that during the past 5 years, the production of oil and gas condensate in Russia has grown almost by 6%. Gas almost 15%, and coal by more than 17%. We are adhering to the principles of the sovereignty in terms of the national resources, but at the same time, Russia is ready to see the long-term foreign investments to come into the energy sector. We have been doing it for quite some time, and the long-term practice shows that it is mutually beneficial. This kind of work serves not only the development of the Russian energy industry, but it also helps to expand Russian presence in the global energy market, which fully complies both with the interests of the producing countries and companies as well as the interests of consumers. It is not an accident that even during loud talk about the need to reduce the energy dependence upon Russia, which I think is absolute stupidity, because there is no one-sided dependence that ever appears in such situation, because it's always a mutual dependence, and henceforth the greater reliability and stability in the global energy and economy. But despite that, the supplies of our energy resources towards Europe have been continuously growing. For example, the exports of gas through the pipeline systems compared to 2012 last year grew almost by more than 10%. In absolute terms, we have gained a record level during the past few years, over 188 billion cubic meters. And I would like to underscore that we are for a fair compliance with the contract obligations, and we do hope that the similar kind of a responsible approach will be adhered to by both the consumers and the transit countries. I want to consider that we are seriously concerned by the statement of some of the Ukrainian radicals and their direct threats to interfere with the transit of the Russian gas to Europe, and we hope that common sense will prevail and that won't happen.
The situation of our neighbors testifies to the relevance of our initiatives on direct routes of export of oil and gas, including through the South Stream pipeline, which we are constructing now. We believe that the European Commission should be active in this matter, because one of its tasks, if even not the main task, is to protect the interests of European consumers. Today, about 70% of our oil export and almost all the pipeline gas goes to Europe. The energy consumption in Europe grows slowly because there are slow growth rates of the economy, but risks grow fast, and transit problems manifest themselves. In this situation, our desire to open for ourselves new markets is understandable and natural. I'm speaking about the dynamically growing APR. That's not only the opportunity to raise the export supplies, but an opportunity to develop the Siberia in the Far East of our country. We know the plans of our partners to expand the supply to Europe, but we welcome the situation, and we do not doubt that the Russian supplies help to diversify the energy balance of the European Union. A good opportunity to consolidate the fragmented gas markets is the LNG market development. For us, it's one of the priorities. Besides the Sakhalin-2 LNG factory, we are building the Yamal LNG factory. Rosneft is planning to build another factory in Sakhalin, and Gazprom in Vladivostok and in the Baltic Sea. Most of the projects is oriented on the APR market. I would like to dwell on the prospects for the shale gas. After the deposits in the US have been put in operation, the supply is expanding. Our American friends and colleagues are planning to become the mega exporters, which is good for the world market, and for us it's an advantage as well. However, export of the LNG to Europe, which the experts present here understand, needs infrastructure to be created on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Major investments and a lot of time will be needed, and prices of the LNG in the APR exceed European prices by 1.6. That is a fact, and that is what's going on. It is evident that for LNG producers of the US, it is better to compete for the Asian market. No one would work and have losses. All of us want to make profits, and this is understandable. That's an absolute law of the market economy. But I'd like to note that the prices of the Russian pipeline gas are competitive and predictable. That's what's most important, because they are based on the reliable tools of pricing. Such mechanisms are used by many other exporters of the LNG. Dear colleagues and friends, energy is one of the most important basics for stable development of world economy. Experts' evaluations show that the available energy resources on the planet are enough and will be enough for a long time. But we know the laws of decreasing efficiency. The largest deposits are opened and explored at the early stages of research or exploration of this or that area. So the best resources, the cream, has been already lifted or will soon be depleted. That is why we need to find new, even difficult to access regions. We should have to raise the volumes in our existing deposits and use secondary or tertiary terms and involve the resources which traditionally were considered economically difficult. But however, I'd like to note that current world market prices do not make barriers for the world economy to develop. On the whole, they are stable, which is very important for the implementation of long-term projects in fuel and energy complex and in other fields. What can we do to raise the energy efficiency? We must do that. We need to process the hydrocarbons, develop innovation technologies, and for Russia, the salvation of these questions is very important. Our country must not only maintain and strengthen its positions as the leading supplier of the natural resources, but become the leader of the transformation processes in global energy market. The challenges in energy are global, it is evident, and they can be answered only together through cooperation. It is very important that the largest companies are doing so. That is why we do not believe that the existing regulation system in energy sufficient and modern enough. The regulation sometimes distorts the market signals and leads to unjustified subsidizing of the so-called any types of energy. In the EU, these are the renewables, and this market distortion, I believe, damages the competitive environment and damages the competitive capacity of whole industries. I hope that the participants of this summit will be able to produce suggestions and proposals on the priority measures to regulate the markets and to consider the possibility to create a format where the participants of the industry will be able to compare the tax, regulatory and legal regimes in different jurisdictions and provide recommendations on the legal framework of the competitive and transparent world markets. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends and partners, we will be grateful to you for recommendations to be used in the Russian legislation. I believe that expanding the cooperation formats will help us to build effective team. I'd like to highlight that the reliable energy supply without distortions is key factor for the progress of global economy and the development of the markets. And it is in our common interest to make the energy interaction more efficient and mutually beneficial and to free it from excessive politicization, which is not needed, which distorts the basics of this strategic industry. I'm confident that your summit will help to solve this important matter. Allow me to wish you interesting discussions and promising contracts. I will leave you not to make barriers to your work. Thank you.